Hi, my name is Annie. Welcome to the Walking Word, where we go through the Bible in a year. Today we're reading Genesis chapter 18. Abraham gets some interesting visitors. The Lord appeared to Abraham by the terebinth of Mamre. Remember Mamre, where he normally goes to chill, where he sat previously with his three friends who took him to war. So this looks like the Abraham's secret place, Abraham's resting place. He likes to go sit at by the terebinth of Mamre. As he sat in the entrance of his tent while the day was growing hot. So this is at the peak of the day. Looking up, he saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to greet them, and bowing to the ground, he said, "Sir." In other versions, you hear, "My Lord." Yeah. "Sir, if I may ask you this favor, please do not go past your servant. Let some water be brought that you may bathe your feet and then rest yourselves under the tree. Now that you have come this close to your servant, let me bring you a little food, that you may refresh yourselves and afterward you may go on your way." "Very well," they replied. "Do as you have said." Some versions describe them as angels, some versions describe them as mighty men. So we already know that they're not normal men. They seem supernatural. The fact that even Abraham, greets them bowing down, and is quick to welcome them into the home and makes them comfortable. Okay, let's continue. Verse 6. Abraham hastened into his tent and told Sarah, "Quick, uh, 3 seahs of fine flour. Knead and make it and knead it and make rolls or make bread." Right? He ran to the herd, picked out a tender choice steer or a heifer or a calf, and gave it to a servant who quickly prepared it. Then he got some curds and milk, so curd, yogurt, as well as the steer and had been prepared, and set these before them. And he waited on them under the tree while they ate, so he hosted them. Then these men said, "Where is your wife Sarah?" They asked him. "Oh, she's there in the tent," he replied. One of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah or Sarah will then have a son." So by this time next year, Sarah will have a son. So they're prophesying over Abraham, these three men, these three lords, these three angels. Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent just behind him. Now, Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in years, and Sarah had stopped having even her womanly periods. She had stopped going through her menses, like time has gone. So Sarah laughed. Remember, similarly, when Abraham was told he'll have a child, he laughed. And now Sarah also laughed to herself and said, "Now that I am so withered and my husband is so old, am I still to have sexual pleasure? Like, am I still to give birth? Am I still able to bear?" But the Lord said to Abraham, now these are the men who are sitting amongst them. The Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Shall I bear a child, old as I am?' Is anything too marvelous for the Lord to do? Is anything too impossible for God to do? Really? At the appointed time, about this time next year, I will return to you, and Sarah will have a son." Because she was afraid, Sarah dissembled, saying, "I didn't laugh." But the Lord said, yes, you did laugh. Then now Abraham goes to intercede for Sodom. The men set out from there and looked down toward Sodom. Now, these three men who are walking. The men set out from there and looked down toward Sodom. Abraham was walking with them to see them on their way. So Abraham is escorting them away. The Lord reflected. So the Lord remembered, and the Lord thought, and the Lord pondered. So these are one of the aspects in the nature of God that we also bear: the ability to think, the ability to, tap into our mind. And God was just thinking to himself, and he said this: shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do, what he's about to do to Sodom and Gomorrah? Now that he is to become a great and populous nation, and all the nations of the earth are to find blessing in him. I mean, even Sodom and Gomorrah, as wicked as they are, if they only can repent, I'm just trying to put myself in God's mind, that if only Sodom and Gomorrah can repent, they too are a nation and they can be blessed through Abraham. And God just thinks to himself, you know what? I can't keep this secret of my destruction on Sodom and Gomorrah. I must tell Abraham. So the Lord continues to reflect. Indeed, I have singled him out that he may direct his sons and his prosperity to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord may carry into effect for Abraham the promises he made about him. Then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin is so grave that I must go down and see whether or not their actions fully correspond to the cry against them that comes to me. I mean to find out. So God is going to Sodom and Gomorrah to see if the cry that reaches his throne, the cry that people are crying of the wickedness in Sodom and Gomorrah, truly deserves his wrath. Okay, let's continue. Verse 22. While the two men walked on further toward Sodom, the Lord remained standing before Abraham. Three men came to visit Abraham. Two men have walked further in to Sodom. One of them, one of the Lords, remains behind. That is the angel of the Lord. That is the Lord himself. Of course, at this point, he's manifesting himself as an angel, bearing his mighty, his holiness, so that Abraham is able to commune with him. Two men have walked ahead. One is left behind talking to Abraham. Okay. While the two men walked on further towards Sodom, the Lord remained standing before Abraham. Then Abraham drew nearer to him and said, will you sweep away innocent with the guilty? Suppose there are 50 innocent people in the city. Would you wipe out the place rather than spare it for the sake of the 50 innocent people within it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to make the innocent die with the guilty, so that the innocent and the guilty would be treated alike. Should not the judge of all the world act with justice? Then the Lord replied, if I find 50 innocent people in the city of Sodom, I'll spare the whole place for their sake. Abraham spoke up again. See how I'm presuming to speak to my Lord. Though, forgive me for pressing in. I just, picture yourself as Abraham. I just have to ask again, you know? Abraham spoke up again. See how I'm presuming to speak to my Lord, though I am but dust and ashes, though I'm nothing, God. But let me ask, what if there are five less than 50 innocent people? What if I find 45? What if you find 45? Will you destroy the whole city because of those five? I will not destroy it, he answered, if I find 45 there. But Abraham persisted, saying, what if only 40 are found there? He replied, I will not. I will forbear doing it for the sake of the 40. Then he said, let not my Lord grow impatient if I go on. What if only 30 are found there? He replied, I will forbear doing it if I find 30. I will not destroy them. If I find 30, I won't destroy them. Still, he went on, since I have thus dared to speak to my Lord, what if there are no more than 20? I will not destroy him. The Lord continued to answer, for the sake of the 20. But he still persisted, please let not my Lord grow angry if I speak up this last time. What if there are at least 10 there? For the sake of those 10, he replied, I will still not destroy it. The Lord departed as soon as he had finished speaking with Abraham, and Abraham returned home. So, this is Abraham interceding, and that's what really intercession is. When people say, yeah, let me intercede for you, or I'm in intercession ministry, it is pleading on behalf of a people or a person to God. That's it. We continue in chapter 19 in the next one.